Good morning, welcome back to Tesla's Wild, welcome back to another beautiful day in the gorgeous state of Colorado, and welcome back to another video with the Tesla Model 3 Performance. If you're new here, my name is Colin, thanks for stopping by, please consider liking and subscribing below. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Alright, it's the weekend of July 4th, and the rest of my extended family lives out in Minnesnowta. We're going to take the Tesla Model 3 Performance on a road trip. It is a round trip of 1,900 miles, and we're going to try and make it one way in one day. So that's about 950 miles in one day. So it should be a pretty big stretch for this to go. I hope we make it. Should be a lot of fun. I'm super stoked to see how well it does. If this sounds interesting to you, make sure you stay tuned. All right, I just want to go over a few logistics here. So I have set up a trip over here called Minnesnota. I just want to get an overall idea of what the efficiency is that we're attaining over this trip. We can see, looking at the lifetime of the vehicle, we have a 310 watt-hour per mile, which equates to a real-world full range of 242 miles for a full charge. So this is going to what the overall trip looks like. We are going to trust the Tesla navigation 100% here. So we've got 4 supercharger stops, all between 40 and 30 minutes across Nebraska and Iowa. Now we can see that this gets us into Minnesota with a 13% state of charge. That's pretty low, so we might end up hitting another supercharger on the way in to Minnesota here. So we can see that the entire trip looks like it's going to take around 15 hours and 29 minutes, and it's at 946 miles. A 2018 Tesla Model 3 Performance from Denver, Colorado to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hi friend. Alright, so we are making a quick pit stop at a rest area here. We're getting an average of 219 watt hours per mile, and it's now saying that we're going to arrive at the Ogalalla Supercharger with 21%. Apparently 145 miles to go, and we have a 226 mile range, so. And we are officially crossing into Nebraska. So exciting. All right, excited to see the Ogalalla Supercharger. American Inn by Wyndham. Where do we think it is? There it is. Look at that. Alright, if we were to continue on to our next location, which is Grand Island, Nebraska, we would be at negative 55%. So that wouldn't work out very well. Alright, we are all plugged in, so we traveled 234.9 miles, and we had an average efficiency of 251 watt hours per mile. We arrived with a 56 mile range, and we started with about 310. We are getting 503 miles per hour to start here, which is pretty amazing. There's absolutely nobody here. It's in the parking lot of an American Inn by Wyndham. We started the trip going about 70 miles per hour. A lot of the speed limit around here is 75. I was just worried with the performance model and whether or not we'd be able to make it. It originally said that we were going to arrive with 16% state of charge, but going 70 actually increased all the way up to 25% state of charge arrival. I figured it would be okay to up the speed, and we went up to 75 miles per hour. So it said that we need to spend about 40 minutes at this supercharger. I have a few notes on the driving experience so far. So we've been in autopilot and on Navigate on autopilot this entire time. First comes to merging. Autopilot was really having a hard time when merging traffic was coming on. It was not adjusting for people coming on the highway or their speeds, and I had to take over on multiple occasions. The other thing that I think would be really cool to program in is when we arrive to Minnesota, it says that we're going to arrive with an 11% state of charge. So this isn't super ideal for if we need to do anything afterwards. So it'd be really cool for Tesla to allow you to plug in, I want to arrive with a 50% state of charge, and then it will optimize your route based on that. Other than that, Navigate on autopilot and autopilot have made this the easiest trip to Minnesota that I've ever done. We're gonna get charged up here, and we're gonna get on our way to the second stop, which is in Grand Island, Nebraska. All right, so we just made it back to the vehicle after grabbing some food and some ice cream and just lounging around the Ogalalla Supercharger. As you can see, this supercharger session would have cost me $9.35. We started at 56 miles of range. All right, so my mom is gonna take over. This is gonna be her very first time driving with autopilot. It says we're gonna get there in 2 hours and 39 minutes with a state of charge of 23%. Stock, double tap it all the way down twice fast. There you go.
Okay.
And just let your foot off the accelerator.
Yes.
Yep. So it's going to feel like you're far to the left, but what it's doing is it's trying to maintain exact center. So just trust that it's got you in right position.
Okay.
You can put your hands down if you want for a second. You can hit the brakes, that'll turn it off.
Okay.
Or you can flip up on that and it'll turn it off. If you want to adjust the speed down, use this. Alright, so we are about 36 miles out from our second stop here, the second supercharger in Grand Island, Nebraska. Autopilot is doing phenomenal. My mom has gotten used to using it, so that's really cool to see. See you shortly. All right, so we have made it to the Grand Island Supercharger. Once again, absolutely empty. There's like nobody out. So for this trip, you can see that we're at 268 watt-hours per mile. We're also up to 423 miles on the trip, and we used 114 kilowatt-hours of battery capacity. So that was my mom's very first experience driving the Tesla and using autopilot. It did terrify her at first. It's a very unique experience, and you kind of forget how strange it is when you use it every day. All right, so as you guys saw, we had a bit lower efficiency this segment of the trip. We're up to 268 watt-hours per mile. So the first segment of the trip, we were going 70 miles per hour and we were getting some really good efficiencies. We were getting around 200 to 215 watt-hours per mile. Now, halfway through that, we upped it to 75 watt-hours per mile. So this ended up lowering the efficiency up to around 247 watt-hours per mile. Now this segment of the trip, which was 186 miles, we did 75 miles per hour the entire way. And now we can see that it's up to 268 watt-hours per mile. So our efficiency is continuing to going down. However, at this point, it's basically leveled out. We have an estimated range of 279 miles. We've got 2 more supercharger stops. We're about halfway through the journey here. I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. The Model 3 Performance is a badass. One of the cool things about supercharging is it makes you stop and get out of the car and do something and enjoy where you're staying at here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone, question mark? It's around 88 degrees and humidity is high, something you don't really deal with in Colorado, but we're gonna get unplugged and get back on our journey here. Goodbye, Grand Island Supercharger. Oh, it smells like manure. Yay, Nebraska. Fun shot of the Tesla at a gas station, and we're off. Nobody here again. Makes sense. Let's see what kind of rates we get. Again, 500 plus miles, nearly 600 miles an hour. All right, so as we can see, we've gone about 600 miles on our trip so far. We're at 271 watt-hours per mile in the Model 3 Performance, which is, from what I've found out from other long-range all-wheel drive, this is about what they are averaging. If you drive the Performance model more conservatively than I do, then you can get some pretty phenomenal efficiencies. All right, so we were just wrapping up at Starbucks while we're supercharging, got some coffee, love the coffee. So we were doing our civic duty and cleaning up the supercharger here. There's quite a bit of trash around. If you guys end up supercharging, please throw your trash away. Don't just throw it on the ground. I'm actually surprised I even need to say this. What stuff did you find there? Oh, for goodness sakes. Just wanted to say happy 4th of July to everybody that's watching. We are doing this over the 4th of July weekend. Hope you guys are having a great holiday. So our next stop is Dows, Iowa, which is gonna get us to 14%. So it's gonna be a long trip here, 233 miles. I now fully am able to trust the Tesla navigation, and it all does come down to how quickly you're going. We're gonna finish up supercharging here and get back on the road, and we'll see you guys at the next supercharger. Dows, Iowa.
Interesting place for a supercharger.
I know, right? They put them in some strange places sometimes, but they have to make sure that a car can make it anywhere, you know? Another empty supercharger in Dows, Iowa. You guys can see that our efficiency is staying pretty constant here at about 271 watt hours per mile. We've gone 786.5 miles. So this segment from Council Bluffs to Dows was around 220, 230 miles. Made it here with plenty of range. We started around 306 miles and now we're down to 62. We're gonna spend about 30 minutes at this supercharger. We are gonna add one more stop just so that we don't show up in Minnesota with 11% state of charge. So we're gonna stop in Albert Lea, Minnesota. We're gonna get this awful windshield all cleaned up here and be on our way. Used 2 GoPro mounts to bring this down a little bit further. It's not the most stable thing in the world, but yeah, it can get a better shot forward. All right, we'll see you guys soon. So we're on the Michelin Pilot Sports 4S's here, and when we were backing into our spot, quite the tire tracks. Looks like we like burned out or something. There's not a lot to see at the Dows, Iowa Supercharger. We just got a gas station, a BP, Dows Junction, and an Arby's. Supercharger's there, gas station's there, car show was behind me. Classic beef and chip. Got a Model 3 friend that has shown up here. They decided to park in the middle of 2 spots. Not sure why they did that, but you know, oh well. This thing is enormous. If any of you know what it is, please make sure to put a comment down below. That's a fun little sticker. All right, so we are fully wrapped up at the Dows Supercharger. We got Nico's windshield all nice and clean again. We have approximately like 171 miles left on the trip. All right, so my mom loves the autopilot so much that she insisted on driving this last segment of the trip. We just get to sit back and relax, so. So we just crossed the border from Iowa to Minnesota, so we are at the last leg of the trip here. We're almost there. We're within like 100 miles, so. See here. Look at that, another Performance Model 3 in red. Model 3 Performance in red and Model 3 Performance in blue. We just need a white one right in the middle. Then it'll fit 4th of July perfectly. Oh, Nico, your front end looks terrible. There was no intentional harming of bugs in the making of this film. All right, in an unexpected sequence in the vlog, we have found the Cheetos. Yeah. Alright, so we just completed the final segment of our trip here. As we can see, we went 940.2 miles. Well, that's one direction, so round trip we're going to be at 1880.4. We had an average efficiency of 274 watt hours per mile. That results in a real world range of 273.7 miles on a full charge. All right, so we just finally made it to Minneapolis, Minnesota, our final destination. Both of us were really curious about how well it would do, and both of us are leaving very, very impressed. We actually have a new Tesla convert. My mom says now that her next vehicle is going to be a Tesla. We used autopilot and navigate on autopilot for the majority of the trip. We followed the Tesla navigation 100%. We didn't deviate it from it at all, except for that one extra supercharger stop, just so we arrived here with a little bit more range. Overall, autopilot and navigate on autopilot were phenomenal. So there we have it. The Tesla Model 3 performance is absolutely phenomenal for taking on road trips. It did just fine, and the Tesla navigation was perfect. We spent about 30 to 40 minutes at every single supercharger, and we just enjoyed what was around there. Overall, the trip took us about 16 hours. In a normal ICE gas car, it usually takes about 12.5 to 13. That's primarily because of those 4 supercharger stops that we had to do and the one extra that we chose to do. We stopped and charged 5 times. Only 4 were really required, but we did that 5th one just so we arrived with better range. Each one was around $7 to $9. That's about $35 to $45 there that we spent on supercharging. Normally gas costs are average around $120 to $140. So we saved a lot of money, and then thanks to you guys, with all of my free supercharging, every stop was absolutely free. So thank you so much for using my referral code to get your cars. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was absolutely a blast. I had no idea how it would do, and it was really informative for me and hopefully for you as well. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button down below. It means the world and is so truly important. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I've always got a lot of new content coming your way, so make sure you stay tuned, and we will see you next video. Wow. Just beautiful. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. Oh my gosh. It sounds so good too. Oh man. How does that feel? 160 miles per hour.
Yeah, the scenery is moving by real quick.
I believe it. You are moving.
Yeah.
How's the visibility out the rear?
You know, it affected a little bit, but not much.
Is he waiting for you? Oh. Wow, well thank you so much.